Welcome to the Everyday Magic Podcast. I'm Anya Rock.
And I'm Dr. Sophia Trivena.
We've been best friends for 25 years, united by the belief that no matter what life throws at us, we can always find the magic. Join us every week as we dive into our most intimate conversations about sex, money, intuition, and building our company, Sophania, a merger of our names and the best of us. Welcome back.
Hi,
nice
Goddess.
to see you again. Hi, Goddess.
So exciting to be back.
It is exciting.
We took a break and we didn't even mean to.
Right. Yeah, it was a nice summer break. It was necessary. It was kind of a gift, an unexpected gift.
Yeah, absolutely. We were just counting up how many episodes we thought we had, and we just had the wrong number. And then we're like, oh, let's just take a break. And we did. And it was really nice, actually. And I missed it as well. Did you miss it?
I did.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I feel like this has gone way deeper than I thought. It also gave me an opportunity to reflect on the experience because we've just been in it. We're either filming or we're looking at the next episode or the show notes or something. It's been part of our world now for a while. And without it there, I noticed what I missed. And what I missed was it's the depth of the journey. It's almost like, I mean, when you have a best friend and you're dropping in regularly in a deep way, there's some nourishment there, and you take away that nourishment, that ritual, that sacred pulse. Then I noticed it, and I noticed needing to add other ritual into my life to kind of mark the pulse of my progress and happenings. So that's one thing I noticed. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, well, we check in a different way in our friendship and then in business. So I feel like this is a chance for us to go deeper on things like without the distractions and on the go-ness of many of our check-ins and conversations. Yeah, so I noticed that. Plus, I was actually away.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
You had quite the epic journey.
Yeah, it was. Okay. I mean, it was. I feel like the space that was given, even if it was accidental, was great. Like I got to kind of shift my energy over to finishing the book that I had needed to hand in before I left for my trip. And then I was away for 10 days.
Yeah, it was not accidental. You definitely needed that time. Yeah. I needed the time for other things. Okay, so you finished out the first draft of your book, which is huge. Congratulations.
Thank
that is
you.
Not a small feat.
Thank you.
And I will commend that there was many writing blocks of a few hours that you could not meet me by the pool or you could not go dancing with me because you had writing. And you really did it and you stuck with it and it wasn't easy. And I just want to take a moment and celebrate you.
Thank you
did it.
Yeah. And it's not over. I probably have another 6 weeks of writing to get the first draft of the manuscript ready to go to copy editing and line editing and all the things I'm learning about the editing process.
Sure.
But I have like just over 45,000 words.
Amazing.
And my editor thinks about 20,000 more. So,
that's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, I can sort of see the horizon.
Yeah.
I can see it coming. But thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
It felt like a big accomplishment. And I probably underestimated what it takes to do all that writing and be in life and get ready for a 10-day trip to Europe.
Absolutely.
And get my kids to 2 weeks of summer camp.
Absolutely.
Like
You're jamming.
Definitely scurrying to the end.
Yes. I watched it and you did it and then off you went.
Yeah.
And when you were leaving, I said, have a good trip home. Like as if you were going home. So I would love to know if that, tell us everything.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I went for 3 days to London and as a kind of acclimation to what I knew was going to be a 7-day retreat in Avalon, which is in Glastonbury. So Avalon is the mystical name for Glastonbury, which is about 3 hours outside London. And everyone, as I said, I'm going to Glastonbury. And they're like, for the festival? I'm like, no, I'm going to do priestessy, witchy things. And they're like, oh, cool. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Yeah. It's interesting to go to these places that have a lot of archaeological and historical significance. And then they also have the sort of sub-theory, the alternate theory, the more mystical theory about what that site means. These sites are steeped in that mysticism. There's a lot of sites. There's a Mary Magdalene chapel where it's believed that Mary Magdalene and Jesus pilgrimaged to. And so there's a chapel for her there. A lot of Mary Magdalene followers, which seems to be like more and more prevalent in the collective. I think more and more people are listening for the Mary Magdalene story. Yesterday was the Feast of Mary Magdalene, and her story being brought to light and being, maybe the parts that were hidden by the church being celebrated and her story being kind of brought to light. So it has that significance. And then it just has this incredible energy, the land itself. And I think it has 6 or 7 sacred sites in a very small geographical area. And so we got to experience many of those sites with local priestesses, women who are steeped in the knowledge of the land and the rituals and customs pre-Christianity.
Okay.
So many of them with Celtic origins, and even pre-Celtic, like way back, pre-patriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it really did actually feel like a returning to a land. So I am actually first generation Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
My father and my mother were both born. My mother was born in England. My father was born in Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
And so actually in London, I got to go and look at like the place where my mother was baptized.
Wow.
And I saw the building. She gave me the address and I went and found the building where she was not born in, but like near where she was born, where she lived as a child. And the tube station where they would go during the war, they would go in at night into the subway station and sleep. And so I got to stand right there and see that the building was still intact and just kind of be in that energy. It was really interesting to seed that energy before going into this pilgrimage of going back to a land that felt in my bones a remembering of women in my lineage who would have been practicing these mystical arts, what we might now call priestess, or there were druids, but priestesses and druids were kind of a similar ranking. There were men and women who were druids, and they were the women that were seen as having mystical arts, as having intuitive gifts, as being connected to both realms of earth and heaven. And so there's a lot of lore, a lot of storytelling, a lot of remembering rituals and songs and ceremony of the feminine.
Did you feel that remembrance?
Definitely.
Wow, like in your bones, in your DNA, in your codes.
Yeah. And it was interesting, one of the women there had reflected, like, I hear you all talking about like these codes. What does that mean? And I thought it was such a great question, because as we talk about, sometimes there's languaging around things that we take for granted.
Sure.
And the way that it was explained to her and all of us, and I thought it was really helpful, was that there are parts of our DNA that are activated in these areas. When we go to sites, when we go and we are on land, or we're in sacred sites or places that have higher energy frequencies, and it's almost like an unlocking of parts of our DNA that come alive, that come awake again, that have been dormant.
I love this.
And that's the coding, the sort of, it's like an unlock that happens. And some people are really drawn to places like Egypt, or we were even talking about like how does someone go to Sedona and feel like the intensity of the land there, and another person might go to Sedona and be like, it's beautiful, but I don't get it. It's just rocks.
That's exactly what it is, right? There's something inside of them that gets unlocked in that place. I've had this.
Yeah, and that each of us goes and we're open and we're available and we're seeking whatever is happening with the land. What we're available, like messages, insights, some might call it downloads or intuitive messaging that comes through in more clarity in places like that, where there is so much history. I mean, we just don't have that in the US either. We don't have sites where there are stones that have been there for 6,000 years.
Well, at least by some civilizations, right? Yeah, right. And a lot of that's been destroyed.
It's all been destroyed,
if it was, ever there. Exactly. It's so true.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely when I went to Egypt, I felt that. I was like, everyone talked to me in Arabic as if I was from there. I just felt like I got so much information
Mhm,
about the understanding of the universe.
Mhm.
Like I really walked away a different person from being there. And as I got guided around 25 countries over many years, every single place I was guided, I had a new activation, a new understanding.
Mhm.
And Italy was a huge one because I'm 56% Italian.
Mhm,
So I
mhm.
get it. I really, really
Mhm.
get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was profound and took me about 10 days to integrate coming back.
And what do you feel like you integrated?
I don't even think I'm fully finished digesting
Sure.
it. Like it was just I think that our body reorganizes after experiences like that. And I really just surrendered to it, trust it. There was real physical jet lag, but also just time and space. I really needed a lot of alone time. I felt like I really wanted to be in my own energy.
Yeah.
And just let whatever reorganization within happen.
No, I love that.
Yeah. And really, in fact, I looked down to see if I was wearing the ring. I found this beautiful ring. We were at the Avery Stones, which is this big formation of stones. And then there's an outer circle and an inner circle. And they would have walked the circle in, pre there being any village there. Right now there's a village in the middle and it's public land, so you can go at any time. But the stones have just incredible energy, and almost all of them are surrounded by a stinging nettle, like at the very base. And I went to lean up against one. I went to sit down and my hand got stung, and it feels like bees.
Oh.
And it was my right hand. And it was just like afterward, it was just like pulsing and throbbing.
Whoa.
We put it into ChatGPT. We're like, what does it mean? Stinging nettle? Like, what's the activation? And it was all about, stepping into leadership and moving into like the initiation of the nettle is actually quite profound. And right after I felt the sting, I went and put my hands up against a rock and just like let the warmth of the rock kind of like soothe it. But then I found a ring in this tiny little store next to it, and I've been wearing it ever since. And it just reminds me, fits perfectly on this finger. And when I bought it, the finger was still kind of like having that tingling sensation.
Activation, right?
Yeah. So I was like, it's a beautiful citrine ring.
That's the name of the stone?
Yeah. There's a gemstone in it. We did many ceremonies. We had a lot of, like I said, the local priestesses came and worked with us, which was beautiful to really experience their knowledge and their connection to the land.
So they talk about nature and what the different plants and what they mean, and
some, a lot about the water. There's a lot of water there. There's a chalice well. There's what they call ley lines, which are energetic lines that cross in a very particular way in that part of the world.
Sure.
There are apparently like dragon ley lines there. Like there's all these things you kind of have to be like, what does that mean? And what does this mean? And also then just feel it.
Yeah, right.
And feel into it and sort of take the intellectual need to understand it in the context of the 3D and separate that out from like, what's the experience of being in this place.
Beautiful. And what was the experience?
A very, just like remembering of like what the feminine was before.
Right.
Of being in connection to nature, in being in connection as girls and women, as being
pre-patriarchy.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And more naturally, not with a societal structure overlaid on it.
Yeah. And we did one pilgrimage to the top of the tour, which is this huge stone at the top of a mountain that you walk up. And the priestess she had us circle 3 times and then walk through. And it's this beautiful entryway with now, the stones have been disintegrated and it's like open to the sky. But you walk through, and she was like, literally as you walk through, like, what is the portal you're stepping into? Like, what's this new, you're reclaiming priestess energy for yourself, whatever that means for you, that you're remembering that somewhere in your DNA, women in your lineage carried these codes, carried this knowledge, carried this sacred ritual and sacred being, that we were revered. We were looked to for answers. We were women that helped to interpret the signs from nature and to deliver medicine and to be in community with women.
It feels like that being with you, like just being in friendship with you feels like that.
Thanks.
I think we carry those codes
Yeah.
that never got caught up in that in the first place, but saw it all around us and maybe had others want to do that with us. But we've always done the sacred sisterhood that feels natural.
Yeah.
Outside of the norms that have risen with patriarchy, really.
Right.
Yeah. Everything you're describing is how I feel in our friendship.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank
Same.
you. Yeah.
It was a really beautiful, it was a lot. It was a big 7-day journey.
Sure. It's a lot of time to commune with those lands.
Yeah. And full of different experiences and different sites. So each day was like a new journey into, and the light there is incredible. Like as I would take photos or look back on photos, the way that light was captured, or in my photos, apparently not everyone's photos do this, but I had orbs showing up in photos like over and over again.
Yeah. What did they say the orbs were? Because when I was in Egypt and we caught orbs, they said that was energy spirits.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that it's energy or spirits, and different formations, shapes. Mm-hmm. So there was one that looked like a yellow, almost
an arch.
Yeah, an arch. And as I was filming one of the priestesses as she was talking, and it just kind of hovered over her the whole time.
Wow.
And then 2 or 3 days later, I went to take a photo of the whole group together, and it showed up in a different corner. It was really interesting. A very kind of oblong, greenish blue orb that showed up in London, and then just kept showing up in the photos that I would take in different places, where you can really just see
I get it.
the light in a different, it's like you are in 2 dimensions at once is how it feels.
Great. Have you had that experience before?
Not in that same way.
Yeah. Have you had it kind of like that, but you've been in another geography where you've had something that feels as transformative and as like your codes awaken and you...
Maybe like a mushroom journey.
Okay.
Like my mushroom journey in Mexico felt a little bit like that. Like I was...
And that wasn't the land, that was the mushrooms.
But it was both.
It was right. That makes sense.
Because it was...
Right.
It felt deeply connected to the land.
Right.
And the space that I was in.
Sure.
Yeah, but this felt different. And it felt like a place where I wasn't visiting.
That's what I said.
Even though I was visiting.
When I went to say, have a good trip, I said, have a good time at home or something, or enjoy going home. And I was like, why did I just say that?
Yeah. And I remember before when we were tuning in on something, you were like, this feels like an important...
Like really important pilgrimage for you.
Yeah. Yeah. An important activation of something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we go into these things, we're like, okay, I'm going on this pilgrimage, I'm going to this sacred place, and we can kind of buffer ourselves with the expectation. And so I just kept reminding myself, like, just be in the experience. It's enough. It's all happening. It's an allowing. Yeah. It's an allowing for the land to do what it will, for the connection. Like I'm available and I'm open to it, but I don't have to force it. I don't have to look for it.
That's right. That sounds right. It's a transmission.
Yes.
It's an experiential transmission.
Yeah.
And more being is going to get you the juice of it.
Yeah. And sometimes trusting too that like the integration of it, the understanding of it will come weeks later.
Right.
We don't always have to sort of be like, oh, I got this instant message and I know exactly why I'm here. It's like all I'm doing is it's almost like I'm letting it upgrade my software behind the scenes, and all I need to do is trust that I'm operating differently rather than trying to use my limited capacity for my limited scope of mind to understand it.
It's actually going into the mystery and going into the feminine to get the feminine codes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love this.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, it was really beautiful.
So you loved it.
It was beautiful. There was one of the priestesses who was a Bridget priestess. Each one sort of had a goddess or figure who was they were more drawn to. So one was Rhiannon and one was Bridget. And the Bridget priestess, we went to see like there's a well that, and Bridget is a saint, was kind of taken over as a saint by Christianity, but it was a goddess. And she had us, there's a place called Bride's Mound, which is just a little bit of a hill at the top of this beautiful open, it's now like a farmer's field. Farmer's like, could you move that just over there? Because I don't want people coming in here. But it's a place that people come in pilgrimage to. And she had us lying in the grass and did a beautiful visualization about remembering. And what was most potent for me was that we were like girls of 9 or 10 years old who'd been identified as having these gifts. And we were taken to the edge. So Avalon is actually an island. I don't know if you are familiar with the myths of Avalon.
I read the book when in university.
Yeah. So those are sort of the mythology around this, right? That it's a place where the veil is thin, and that you would, so the visualization was these girls being taken by their mothers and sent off into study these gifts and, study the arts of mysticism, but going into the unknown, going into the myths, leaving behind everything you know, and taking this journey, this pilgrimage into the Isle of the Apples, into the Isle of the Feminine, into the Rose. So it was really beautiful. And I just thought, I don't know, for me, that was really poignant, this age specific. I think the point in my life where things shifted dramatically was around that age. And I
was thinking that.
Yeah, I just had this moment even viscerally where I was like, oh, imagine if in a lifetime,
right,
that was the journey I went on.
Interesting.
In one of my previous lifetimes, it was
that's what happened at 9 years old instead of the other thing that happened at 9 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't even imagine. We both had our innocence taken away.
Yeah.
We've spent our whole life reclaiming our innocent selves, our pureness.
Yeah. And I think it was also the beauty of this story of like embarking when we set out on a new mission or a new adventure, even if it's not, we don't think of it as an adventure. It's like we are moving into the unknown. We are leaving behind everything we know.
Sure.
And there's deep trust and deep reverence required in that initiation that we go through, often multiple times in our life.
Right.
And it was a beautiful encapsulating of that. I
love this.
Yeah.
I love this for you.
Thanks.
And I love all of it.
Really magical.
I feel like what you're describing, like I tell people, I lived in 25 countries before I moved to LA, and that's like the skimming the top of it. I did what you're talking about over and over again for years without a home. So I would go to a place like that, and then I'd get guided to stay for 2 months and go that deep into that place. And I would have only those kinds of experiences. And then I would get guided to go to another place and stay for, 6 weeks, and another place for 4 months, and another place. And imagine just doing that with a carry-on for 5 years. And every single place I never knew, like I'd land most times in a new country with zero in my bank account. And I literally had nothing.
Yeah.
And I would go on the journey. And I would meet a client there that would introduce me to a community. And then I'd go to the land, and they'd bring me to sacred sites. And then they'd bring me to the cultural things. And then, I'd sink deep trust. So years and years and years. And I've never even tried to articulate really. I don't even know how to describe that experience. But like the signature you just shared, that is the signature I stayed in for years in multiple countries and got so much, so many codes opened in me.
Yeah.
So in the time that we last filmed, are there any other updates? Like, I mean, that was a massive one.
Yeah, that was a big one. I feel like the book was big.
Those are 2 huge things that happened at the same time. No surprise.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There was a little blip on the radar for a hot second of a ex-lover coming back in.
Right.
That was a little bit, I think of it as like excavating out any residual nostalgia.
Sure. And were you successful in that?
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved how you navigated that. You're like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm doing it, and I'm doing it very consciously, and I'm just going on the journey to see. And I'm like, great, go all in, total support.
What I, acknowledge in myself was that the moment I saw the same pattern emerging,
you're out.
I was out.
Yeah.
It was like, oh no, I'm not going on that again. I'm absolutely not. And it was interesting that at the same time, and something I carried with me into this trip was that I noticed that two men who were in my world for a very short time, both of them, but I felt this kind of distortion of the pleasure and the work that I'm doing and the way that I talk about it, and sort of the new way that I'm expressing and discovering and talking about pleasure. And I felt like, oh, that's interesting. And I just noticed it. I remember saying to you, I wonder why these two people with very different signatures or very different costumes are showing up with a similar distortion.
Yeah.
And I think it's here to bring to my awareness the discernment and the energy of how I hold it as sacred. And that was why why the priestess piece is so important to the work I do.
Okay, so to make sure I understand, basically you're watching two men show up that both don't hold what you hold sacred in the same way.
Yeah.
And you're like why is
they're consuming it and distorting it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, why are you doing that? Oh, that's what's happening in the world. That's the lens of patriarchy. That's the lens of the world.
The cheapening of the sacredness.
Yep.
Right.
So it just brought up a curiosity in me. And then bringing together also that I was on this journey that, I'm going to activate these priestess codes, that I do refer to myself doing priestess work.
Mm-hmm.
I did a 9-month priestess initiation like 2 years ago.
I remember
being like, I don't know why I'm doing this.
I stayed at your house. Yeah. I was about, I'd come back and stay with you between my sojourns at times. Yeah. And I remember you saying I had bought my little mini harp to start to travel with me, and your daughter was the first one to play the strings. I remember I got one that would fit in my carry-on. I'm like, I'm going to bring this harp around the world and learn harp while I'm traveling. I got to do something. And then you said, I'm going to invest in this priestess training. And you said something like, I hope it's okay to spend money on this. Mm-hmm. And you're like, but you don't look at the harp and think it was a waste of money. I'm like, no, I'm going to have a harp. I'm going to learn how to play. And I'm like, and you're going to learn your priestess codes. I didn't say it exactly like that, but it's an investment. Yeah. It's an investment. It's not just frivolous. Yeah. And you invested in it and you went on that journey.
Yeah.
So it's been something
it makes a lot more sense now, right? I didn't know then why I was doing it.
Right.
But I understand it now. And I realize there's something about in the work that I'm doing, which is about helping women to be in their sovereignty and their pleasure and the sacredness of their expression and pleasure. It's the priestess work really grounds that and roots it so that we are remembering the holiness, the sacredness of our sexuality.
I love this. So having witnessed a lot of people come out of vanilla cookie cutter experiences, I'm not saying you're this, but I'm just saying a lot of times I've seen people go, okay, that was so boring. I'm going to swing the other way and open all the way up. Mm-hmm. I'm going to own my pleasure, my orgasm, my experience. But when I've been in it so consistently that I'm always really careful about what I'm calling in, even in a temporary experience. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people can be like, oh, it's temporary and it's just for this, so I don't need it to be all these other things. Mm-hmm. Until they're like, wait a minute, this doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel right. I don't feel respected. And I just feel like you have a container you want to pour into, really define that container. Mm-hmm. Like you can still be held with absolute reverence and love even in a one-night experience. Mm-hmm. I only have been. Mm-hmm. Like I make sure that I feel that connection, that we nurture, that this is a sacred, beautiful experience, even if it's temporary. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's missing in a lot of the global trainings I've seen everywhere. That's why I've never gone to any of outside trainings. I've always felt like they don't talk about how to call in the specificity that's going to bring sacred into the short. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure that's exactly what you're talking about, but it's something I've seen a lot of. Mm-hmm. And with all my clients, I'm always helping them be like, just because they're not your forever person doesn't mean it's not sacred. Mm-hmm. And actually the only thing I'm like if I can say to myself, and this is my only thing, I'm like, does this feel sacred to me?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's beyond the mind, right? It's beyond the definition. And if it doesn't feel sacred, even like halfway through and all of a sudden it doesn't feel sacred, I stop.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I can't even define it, what it is, but I can feel if it's there and I can feel if it's not. And I'll tell guys, like, by the way, I've never seen porn. So if you start going into like a porn mindset and want to recreate that, I can feel it instantly. And I'll have to stop or anything like that. But if you can stay looking in my eyes and remember I'm a real woman here and really wanting to connect. And this is beautiful, sacred energy we're circulating, even if it's just for tonight. And I've been able to like be with them in that space and create a temple space. Can we step into this temple together? And then can we step out of this temple?
Yeah. 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 And I think, just understanding energy, like all of it I'm still, as I said, digesting, but there's a lot in pairing and merging these two worlds together of understanding even the Mary Magdalene path, like understanding how pleasure is revolutionary for women, how it's been taken from us. And
what does that have to do with the Mary Magdalene path from your perspective? I have thoughts on this too.
Yeah. I mean, she was sacred and important and a teacher, and
she was
potentially his lover, right? And potentially his teacher.
I always get that she was his teacher. I always get she wasn't his lover. I always get they even say in the Gnostic text that she was the apostle. I think actually in the Bible
13,
as well.
Yeah,
she was the apostle of the apostles.
Right.
She taught the others.
Yeah. And, her story was demonized.
Absolutely. That we agree on for sure.
Yeah. And she was painted as, being the prostitute. And because then they created this alternate, like Mary the Virgin. So they really created these polarizing versions of women that we're supposed to adore: the Virgin, the Mother, and then we're supposed to demonize
the woman who owns her sensuality and sexuality for her own pleasure.
And her autonomy and her
ability to choose and not be property. And not be, owned by, by her child as a mother or owned by the husband, etc. Yeah. And this is fascinating. So I have a family member who did their PhD in early Christian religion. So we've talked about that around the dinner table for my entire life, like since high school. And I also learned like all about, really, it was a few hundred years after Jesus and Mary lived that a lot of it got written down. There's really nothing written for many, many decades. And they just think that it just kept getting destroyed anytime anyone tried to make record of it. And it was really Constantine 300 years later that basically said, we want to use Christianity to unite my kingdom politically. And that's when politics and the church came into a oneness and basically said, half of you think Jesus was divine and half of you think he wasn't. And so just pick one, and I don't care which one, just unify for political reasons. And the church is like, well, it serves us better if Jesus is the only divine Son of God. So he's the only one. So you can't be. You can't directly have God within you. Only Jesus had God within you, but you can find that through the church. So come to us and we'll give it to you. This isn't even disputed. This is like, if you study early Christian religion in any school, you will learn this. It's on record, know?
Yeah, it was funny. We were at this old abbey, which would be like, it was huge stone, would have been, and I'm terrible with like the history timelines, but there's mysticism around King Arthur and his wife being buried there, which now they say is probably not true. But again, it brought people and it brought money. And there's like one area that was cordoned off with like a tiny little rope. And a couple of us like went and sat in there. Of course, you're not supposed to, but like it's a piece of grass with like a little rope around it. And this woman came up to us and she's like, you cannot sit here and do ceremonies. You're not supposed to gather in groups and do ceremony. I know what you're doing. And she was like, and like, just do it a little more discreetly. She's like, I don't want to get in trouble. I like my job.
Wow.
But it was fascinating. I was like, oh, even now, like, we are on this, we're literally just sitting. We weren't doing a ceremony. We were just talking. They were, taking selfies. But there is this fear of like, women will come here and gather and they'll be in ceremony and there's something bad about that.
Right.
Really? It's 2025 and I'm on a piece of grass in the middle of the abbey that's like, it's just fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, we weren't even doing a ceremony.
Right.
Give us a minute. We'll come up with a good ceremony. But we were just taking selfies.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I get it.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. I had a similar thing in Egypt. We went into the pyramid, which I did not know what I signed up for when they were like, oh, we can go in the pyramid, because there was a whole bunch of talk of like, you can't go in the pyramid anymore. And then our guide came up and said, I got us in. We can go in the pyramid. And I was like, okay. And I didn't even flinch about it, only to realize that going in the pyramid means you're going straight uphill at a 45-degree angle in a square that's about 4 foot square, hunched over with people way in front of you and way behind you. The most claustrophobic moment of literally my entire life. And I can't even barely talk about it. We'll move on. But when you got to the top, there's this small room that's just stone, and it has the craziest energy. And you're not allowed to sit and meditate. You're not allowed to just commune in it. You're not allowed to sit in circles in it. There's something else about that too. It was a similar thing. It was like, you're not allowed.
What might happen?
What might happen? What might happen if people, I mean, the biggest thing for politics and the church in a lot of ways, and where it's like, there are beautiful people in church and there's beautiful churches. We're talking about the extreme, not the extreme, probably actually, unfortunately, more the norm, but the situation where it's like, if you feel like you have direct access to what we say you have to get through us, then we lose power, right? And so Gnostic literally means you have, you have your own access. It's your own knowing. And so the Gnostics are to Christianity, which is like Kabbalah is to Judaism, which is Sufism to Islam, right? So there's all these mystic, which is really, mystic sense mystery and dark and witchy and whatever, but it's really mystic as in there's a mystery that doesn't have to be defined by anyone, including the church. And that is the actual, the pathway to yourself, and that the kingdom is within you, right? And that's what if you read the Gnostic texts, or there was 4 books of peace written and found in the Vatican that are Jesus's actual teachings that are not brought out, but they're literally found in the Vatican. And basically it's all like, you have to honor your divine father and your divine mother. You need to honor your body as much as your soul. And the church was like, no, honor your soul, forget about your body. No, like honor the father, there is no mother.
Yeah.
Right. And so all of that gets buried.
Christianity, and it was definitely like a land grab, political, right, money motivated, as it still is. It was really
a justification for like ethnic cleansing for land grabbing. Exactly. Yeah. So we know all of this.
Yes.
We know all of this. What's beautiful is I feel like there's a movement to understand Mary Magdalene as maybe the prime teacher of the apostles, that she was trained in Egypt in priestess skills. She, from all the past life memories people have had of that time and where she was at, she was using sensuality and embodiment to be in her own gnosis, to be in her own divine connection. And then someone could look at that and say she's a prostitute. I've been with many men, and I could be looked at as a prostitute without a husband. I could be a prostitute.
Promiscuous.
Yes.
There's that word again.
Right. I would prostitute and promiscuous. There's like a little link there.
Yeah. And there's a collective remembering. I mean, there is even the priestesses in Avalon spoke to this, right? It's like almost like a lighthouse goes up, and it's sort of across different cultures and across the world, more and more women and men are remembering that there's another way to think about it. Like, maybe we've been brainwashed into thinking this is the only way.
Right. And it's in the arc of history, it's very brief. It's really like thousands of years. There's so many ways we can reawaken to it, but it's funny. It's what I came up against with my family. I'm realizing I'm just putting this together right now. So you're in Avalon and you're having this experience of remembering all these codes, right? And I'm going through a scenario where all the women in my family are coming forward to tell me that what I'm doing is not okay.
Yeah,
and
we
is
should
immoral.
go on the journey of what happened in your world, because it was big.
But I never put it together that you're over in Europe having this experience, and my family originally comes from Europe and has a long Catholic lineage, which my parents broke. They stepped away from the church, so we were raised without it. So it's interesting having parents that were indoctrinated, let's say, and found their way out of a paradigm, that they chose to find their way out and educated us on being outside of that paradigm. But watching them still I used to call it the Catholic hangover, when they would feel guilt or shame or think we should feel guilt or shame. And I was like, I don't have the access to what you're talking about at all. And I think it's actually a Catholic hangover, and I think you're wrong. So we'd have these kind of discussions. And, long story short is, in the last, like, while you were away, just before you went away, I think, it came to a head where my family finally admitted to me that they think what I'm doing, talking to angels, doing this podcast, talking openly about sex, etc., working with people in any way in the capacity I have as a coach, is not okay. And basically, who do I think I am to not do the societal Catholic duty that they have all done, which is get married, have children? And they basically said, this is the devil's work. And it was very open. And this is the female family members. And it felt like, I felt like a car accident that I barely survived, but all my family died in, because it was the end of us. Like, I basically told them, I don't want you to ever have access to me again or my work. I am taking you off of all social media, and blocking emails, blocking phone numbers. Like, I choose the truth of me over the projections of what do you think I'm supposed to be living. And it was about 3 or 4 weeks of literally feeling like my whole family died in a car accident that I had been part of. Like, I felt in the hospital emotionally, and I felt like they had all died, because I really knew, like, there's no way forward for us with all of that. And that's not just new. It wasn't in the heat of the moment. They've been feeling this for a long time.
Yeah. They just revealed.
They just revealed. It just got revealed. And I was in shock. I was in shock.
Yeah.
And two things happened simultaneously as I made the choice and told them and took action to say there's no more access to me, which is that, remember in a previous episode, we talked and we felt in, and I would need to manifest $50,000 to take the next step of scaling my work. The day that I told them that, I got $58,000 in my bank for a new client model that I had basically intuited the notion of who would work with me for a year. And it was a 6-figure amount. And the first payment for that came the day that I broke up with my family. And the second thing that happened is I went to the fridge and I threw out everything that came from an animal, like all the milk, all the cheese and everything. And I was vegan. And so I think it's going on 6 weeks or something now, where this is, I'm maybe 2 months on the other side of this. I don't know. But basically it was mourning that loss whilst that's okay.
Sneeze.
Right. Fair.
What does the sneeze mean?
The sneeze to me always means something is important and true. And our videographer just sneezed as I said this. So it is important and true. So I'll really
just call him Bradley.
Yeah, we can say, so Bradley just sneezed while I was saying this, which means it's important and true. And what was I going to say? And I'll say it with more gravitas. I was mourning the loss of my family while I was embracing the rebirth of myself. I didn't really realize that. Yeah.
And what do you think the connection, like, I'm just curious as why do you think those two were connected in terms of deciding to no longer be in contact with your family, given the information they'd revealed, with this unlocking or unblocking to manifest the money that you'd been calling in? Like, how do you connect the two?
Question.
What's the energetic connection in the way that you interpret it? It doesn't have to be
I've been working for 10 years with hundreds of clients, and I look at them, their system energetically, and I say, by you keeping this vibration in your system, you can't resonate at a higher frequency that calls in your next level that you're supposed to be advancing to. It's like, unless you cut off this dead branch, the new one can't shoot up. If you stay loyal to that, then you stay in this paradigm. And if you let that go, new nourishment can come to you. And the angels described it to me, and I think it was in a reading with you, is nature can't water a dead root. So it can't get to the living tree if the only thing the tree has in the ground is a dead root. And so we are meant to be nourished and abundant. So what am I clinging to that keeps me in an old paradigm, complaining that I don't have the new paradigm?
I think we all do that. in so many ways. But so what am I clinging to in this paradigm that's keeping me from the new paradigm?
Yeah. And complaining that I don't have the new paradigm.
Right.
Right.
Great. I just wanted to accentuate that.
I think
feel like
that's
I
really
needed that one to land for myself too.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
I feel really emotional as I talk about this right now. Like losing your whole family when you're a family girl is hard.
And it's been a journey. I've watched you, and we've talked a little bit on the podcast about it, but it's definitely been a journey you've been moving toward. Like you've been sort of like, okay, if I give them this much, will they show up? They had an opportunity to really, your mother and your biological father had an opportunity to show up for you in a different way.
Right.
And
oh yeah, that's how the reveal happened with my mom decided to also keep the money my brother had left to me.
Right.
And much like my biological father said, basically she said she didn't believe that he had come from the other side and told me that he wanted me to have it so I could do things for him. She believed he told me that before he died and is trying to swindle the money from her. And it was that was the deal breaker for me. I'm like, your own daughter who has never done a thing like that in my entire life. And now when I'm 51 years old, you'll make a character judgment of me to keep money. Or I just was like, I can't, I'm done. I'm like, that's deal breaker land. And that and I had that glimmer that both my biological parents might actually do something for me and my brother.
Yeah.
And they did the exact opposite. And then I was like, this is what my brother was orchestrating. My brother was orchestrating that I would see the truth of my biological parents. And the way that I link all of this together, back to your question, is like, when I closed the door on those toxic relationships, all of a sudden my system knew health. Like you're talking about beyond the mind, right? Like all of a sudden, energy that had been in my field my whole entire life since the womb was now gone for the first time in my life. And all of a sudden my system was like, this is what health is. Health is being vegan. The health is, and then the energetic system on the bigger scale was like, okay, now she's ready for this $50,000 to scale her work. Right. And it's like, if I have that in my field, they're not going to bring that. So bigger money is not going to come because my family just showed me that they're going to prioritize accessing money for me. Right. So like for 10 years when I was in Hawaii and I was a professor and you could brag about what I do in any room and I'm speaking at Harvard, I was shouted from the rooftops by my mom. And I basically said to her, in 10 years since I left that and I've been doing this other work, you haven't done anything to celebrate me. And that's when she wrote back and said, I do not celebrate this. And that's when the reveal finally happened. This is what I think about what you're doing. And that's when I was like, well, this is who I am. So this is where our road ends here.
Yeah.
And it's
heartbreaking.
It was absolutely heartbreaking. And I also felt, I have never felt so free and unburdened energetically and healthy and available to what's healthy in my entire life. And it was just like instantly vegan was there, instantly money was there, instantly everything in the next level. And then I think it was another month-long journey, and all of a sudden I started dating again, and the quality and the resonance of the people that were showing up was something beyond I've ever experienced. And like, that's been my longest thing is relationship patterns. Like why, no matter what I do, the next step to peel back the onion of why this still keeps happening. There's always work. There's always something. But for years, it's been like, I can't find any more work to do yet. Still the same dynamics keep showing up. And they are similar dynamics of that kind of toxicity. And since saying no to the toxicity in my family, the men that have showed up have not had any signs of that. So I think those are the main things that changed for me. And I feel,
those are big.
I feel so healthy and free. And it's like, there's the mourning of that, but there's also the embracing of who I really am and the energy field that's now all mine. But I feel like the codes that they inherited that make them want me to comply to them started in that Christianity Gnostic rift. And I'm doing the Mary Magdalene life, and they are saying you're a prostitute. You're wrong. their version of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're back at the source of it simultaneously,
Mm-hmm.
remembering that on the land.
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Just realizing it.
Yeah.
So both in our own ways, we were remembering who we were before all this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we both had big 6-week journeys.
Yeah, we really,
Got a lot
really,
done.
really did. Yeah. And how do you feel now?
Good. I feel like my energy's back. I feel, this week more clear. Definitely last week I was like in some liminal space in between.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm definitely starting to feel like clarity coming back, and I'm excited for the next few weeks.
I love it.
Yeah. How do you feel?
I feel great. I feel like, after we said I'd have to manifest $50,000 to take this next step, the next day, I think my personal trainer said, what would it take to work with you for a year? And that's when I was like, huh. And that's where that container and then that notion came. And then when the money came in, I also had 3 or 4 signs around this one person to work with, who's a dear friend to work with before I work with that other man.
Mm-hmm.
She had been in retirement for a few years, but she came out of retirement to work with me, and I've invested in her helping me. And I'm really elevating what I'm going to be sharing through social media for my own brand.
Mm-hmm.
So that feels incredible. So I'm basically changing what I'm about to express to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm ready for real partnership with the masculine. And I feel really light and amazing with the veganism.
Good.
Like, I don't crave or miss anything, like at all. And it just seems like there's options all the time. I never go to a restaurant and go, I can't eat here. There's always something. It's just been easy.
Good.
I feel like detoxed. I feel like for there's a headline, detox and rebirth.
Wow. Good.
Yeah, it feels really amazing.
Good.
Yes.
I'm sure everyone has been on the edge of their seats waiting to know how this veganism is going.
How's it going for you more so than anything? Because you were like, this is going to be a nightmare.
It is sad to not be able to share meals, but we can share salad.
And good combo.
And good combo.
And inspo.
And we can always eat at Crossroads Kitchen.
Where we can eat everything.
Yes.
Remember we walk in there 2 nights ago or yesterday, and the woman's like, Sophia, big hug. I'm like, there every day.
Yes. You're like their best customer.
I'm like, I'm back. Hi. Best vegan restaurant in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Crossroads Kitchen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it hasn't affected me that much other than sharing meals, and you do navigate it well.
We used to do a burrata together. Now we have a salad together or something. Or
I have to eat the burrata on my own.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's not as bad as we both thought, for sure.
All good. Yeah.
Yep.
And you are a generous, I think you make it your experience without making it everyone else's experience.
I'm not a missionary.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not.
Sometimes people in any dietary, I mean, it doesn't have to be just veganism. Sometimes
in anything,
people make it
you should be married. You should have kids. You should,
right.
You should eat vegan. You should not eat that. No more meat. You should cut your hair. You should grow your hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The word should is I've always tried to keep that out of my vocab.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad that it's worked out. And I went and got blood work done, and everything is in the green zone. Mm-hmm. So it's like no loss of iron, no whatever. And the inflammation, the signs of inflammation are like they used to be up in the red. They're in like the green, like absolute, like lowest possible.
Great.
So I think I'm on a healthy
work, and you're dialed into your protein. I know I've watched you.
Yep.
Stay dialed into your protein.
Soy milk has been the answer for me, and soy milk drinks.
And we've both been on like a hormone.
We both discovered HRV, or hormone replacement therapy, HRT. Yeah.
Menopause therapy now they call it.
They want to call it something different. I can't remember what it is.
Most people call it hormone replacement. We've both been on that journey, which has been enlightening and amazing.
I went from like about 16 hot flashes a day that were so intense, and I was begging how this would get solved. When I also ended things with the most I won't say all, but most of the women in my family, I instantly have never had another menstrual cramp. I was cramping all the time in this perimenopause journey, and my hot flashes went down to like 1 or 2 every 2 or 3 days.
Great.
So that's amazing. And then all of a sudden I wanted to get on hormone therapy, and it's been amazing. Yeah. Yeah. I think it was the best thing I could have done. And I definitely had big questions around it. I read all the, did all the research and there's really, it's like an average of 16 hot flashes a day. Women that have them do have, and they last an average of 6 to 8 years.
Wow.
That's too long to live with that many hot flashes. That's torture.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm glad to not have them anymore.
Me too. I never really had them, but I had other things.
So we had a
detoxed.
Detox. We had a detox rebirth 6-week break.
Yep.
And it's great to be back.
It is great to be back.
Yeah. And we're going to have Teresa on, our very first guest, the next time.
Yep.
Can't wait for that.
Yeah, exciting. We have exciting things coming.
Yes.
It's almost a season 2.
Yep. Everyday Magic 2.0.
Everyday Magic. Thanks for being on the journey with us. We'd love to have you as part of the ongoing conversation. Join us on our socials at Sophania Beauty and join our email community at sophaniabeauty.com. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.